using the Pythagorean theorem. And what you generally do, you just draw a right triangle and determine that. So we have this right triangle here they gave us. And what we have is this point and this point. And we're trying to find this length. So what we're going to do is we're going to find the length of this and length of this to find a hypotenuse, because this makes a right triangle. So we know that this is 1, 2, 2 squares, and then this is 1, 2, 3, 4. So this has a length of 4. So what we're going to do is we're going to do a squared plus b squared to find out what c squared is. So a squared will be 4 plus 2 squared, which equals c squared. So 4 squared is 16, 2 squared is 4, which equals c squared. So 16 plus 4 is 20, which equals c squared. So then you're going to find the square root of 20. So you're going to find the square root of 20, and you get 4.47. So that's the length of that between those 2 points. Okay, so now you try one. So we have this triangle, we have this point, and then this point. So it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So this is 5. And this is 1, 2, 3, 4. So this is 4. So you're going to do a squared plus b squared to find out what c squared is. So you're going to do 5 squared plus 4 squared to equal c squared. 5 squared is 25. 4 squared is 16. So 25 plus 16 will be 41. And you get equal c squared. So then you're going to do the square root on both sides. So you're going to do the square root of 41 to get you 6.4. Okay, so now let's say I don't give you a nice triangle with nice numbers, but instead I give you this, where his house is at the coordinates of 10, 20, and then the beach house is at 280 and 164. So what we're going to have to do is determine what this length is and then what this length is, so we can use the Pythagorean theorem to find the hypotenuse, that length. So from his house, he went from 10, from the x changed from 20, excuse me, that's not the x, the arrow. So the x, which was originally 10, went to 280. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to do 280 minus 10 to figure out the distance between those points, and then square it, because this is going to be represent a squared, because that will represent that length. Then you're going to do b squared. So you're going to do the same thing, but b is going up and down. So that means the y's are changing. So it went from 20 to 164. So you're going to do 164 minus 20. And then you're going to square that, because this is representing b squared. So now this is all this is going to equal is c squared. So 280 minus 10 is 270. So you're going to have 270 squared. And then you're going to do 164 minus 20, which is 144 squared, equals c squared. So you're going to do 270 squared, which is 72,900, plus 144 squared, which is 20,736, equals c squared. So then you're going to add these together, and you get 93,636 equals c squared. So then you're going to find the square root. So you're going to find the square root of that number, and you get 306. So the distance between the beach house and his house is 306. So this right here is 306. If you get confused at this part, basically all I did is I just look at this graph and determined on how much the x went up. And so it went from 10 to 280, so that's 270. It went up 270. And then I went from this point and I realized that the y went from 20 to 164, which is 144. And then this went from there. Okay. So then you have this problem, which you can, same thing, same idea. So your STAR test will probably have a problem that looks like this. And what they're going to do is they're going to ask you, find me the distance between these 2 points. Well, you can't just count the squares between the lines. So what you're going to do is you're going to have to form your own right triangle. So you have this right, you can go down like this and like this. So now all you need to determine is the length of A and B. So we're going to make this 1, 2, 3. So this would be A, which is 3. And then 1, 2, 3, 4. So make that 4. So now we can use a formula, A squared plus B squared equals C squared. So you can do 3 squared plus 4 squared equals C squared. So you have 9 plus 16 equals C squared. So that's 25, which is C squared, which is 5. So now you can try one. So you draw your right triangle. This would be 1, 2. This would be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So you're going to do A squared plus B squared equals C squared. So you're going to do 2 squared plus 5 squared equals C squared. So that would be 4 plus 25, which equals C squared. So 4 plus 25 is 29, which equals C squared. And then you're going to square root both sides. So you're going to square root 29. My pad's just messing up, so give it a second. Sorry, y'all. So you're going to square root 29. And you should get 5.4. All right, thanks, y'all.